Hey, Ollie. Long time no see, sir. How goes it? Hanging out there, Oliver? Did I move? No, I've been here for a while. Over almost a year now. So I am trying up some new software and stuff though for live stream. This one looks like it's way better quality. Oh, hello, boy. Just messing with some stuff, things like that. Hey, you're being loud. Oh. The kitties are coming in. They're all checking out. They don't get to come in this room very often because this is where all my expensive stuff is. So. No, not really reloading. This is, I can't touch it because YouTube. That was just some surplus ammo that I was going through because I bought some at a fair here, and it's like 2000s Yugoslavian surplus 7.62 by 54, and the guy I bought it from, focus camera, do your job. Focus camera. There we go. The guy that I bought it from said it was in a flood, and there's some rust on the outside of the white boxes and stuff like that. But for the most part, all the ammo seemed to be good. I took it out of the can that he had it in, which the can was pretty rough, and repacked it into 30 cal cans. So here, I just gotta. You can't be in there. Mom will get mad. You behave. So I repacked it into 30 cal cans, but I just have a couple that are left over that I checked and they just wouldn't fit in the can. The cans only hold like 200 rounds or whatever. So, but I got that all done, which was kind of nice to go through that because I got a good deal on it. It was 480 round cans. I bought two 480 round cans for it would have been about $200. That's the plan tomorrow, actually. I went and I have a couple people that want to come out that actually haven't ever shot a gun before that are going to come to the indoor range with me and take a basic safety class, and then we're going to shoot some handguns. So, and then other than that, it might be kind of hard to see, but I bought a hunting rifle. It's right there, which I did some recent videos on. The third video I should upload here on it because it's now in its brand new stock and it's looking real pretty. I do got to go get it tapped yet, which I should call my local gunsmith and see if he has any openings for me to get that in to get it tapped. But yeah, that worked out pretty good. And I got 3 magazines for that little hunting rifle. It's a little 30-30 bolt action. Thing's lightweight, pretty handy. It was made in the 50s. It's in real good shape for being as old as it is. So it doesn't quite fit in with all the other ones and their bayonets and everything, but I got a couple things I got to go do tomorrow. So like at the indoor range, Paige can't go unfortunately because she's got to work, which kind of sucks because she didn't find out until like a day or two ago that she had to work. But she's had most of the week off, which It's like we were hoping, fingers crossed, that we could get in and do some shooting because she's got her new little concealed carry to shoot. So I'll just go shoot that and see how it shoots. Um, and then I have the red dot on my pistol to sight in, and all that other good jazz. So it's been a busy as far as like guns and ammo and stuff go. Got this big cool vise here, which I've been looking at getting a gun vise for a while, and I got this one off Amazon actually, and it was between this one and another one, and the thing that I really liked about this one is that it breaks in half. Right here, the like metal frame that it all sits on, and it has 4 little feet to adjust the height, so you can get it real level. Because I bought it to use like a drill press to drill some holes through that new stock blank I got for that thing. And it allows you to level it real easy. And the best part is, yeah, it breaks in half, so it's a lot easier to store and transport than it is than the other one that I had. And this one was actually a little cheaper. So I'm pretty impressed with it. It's got the nice removable trays. Real easy, nice compartments on them. I'm pretty impressed with it. It seems to be pretty good quality. It was about like $110. Yeah, my Ruby firing pin was fucked up for a long time, and it ended up needing a new one. And it's just kind of because the whole pistol is made out of cheap little pot metal. Unfortunately, like the Ruby it's a cool gun, but they're not high quality guns, and they never were intended to be. So just the fact that they're made out of little pot metal and they're all 100 years old, just goes to show that stuff doesn't last. Hey you. Hey Victor baby, what are you doing? You're my baby boy. It's my baby boy. He's gonna do a snooze on the chair. He's gonna be a good neck warmer. Yeah, just like he likes to do. He's my good little baby boy. But it took me forever to get my Ruby's firing pin fixed because it broke and it wedged forward. So I shot like 2 rounds with it just fine, and then when the 3rd round went to chamber, it just emptied the magazine. It just went and it shot the last 7 rounds in the magazine because the firing pin was stuck just far enough forward that it would still chamber and just enough to set it off. So, hello. Yes, they are. They are. There's no standard things on any of those parts for any of the rubies. Even from manufacturer to manufacturer, there was no standardization, and even from pistol to pistol from the same manufacturer, there wasn't a standard either. They were all handmade, pretty much. So I bought a firing pin that was luckily from the same company that made mine. Mine's in Ibarra, I believe it was. I could look at it, but would be too close to being on screen, so I can't do that. It was in Ibarra, they were one of the nicer manufacturers of rubies. And I bought a new firing pin for it, and the firing pin, thankfully, was only like $15, but it still didn't fit. The gunsmith had to modify it to get it to work and fit. So, but yeah, it just kind of sucks. That's how rubies are because they're cool guns. Like I love mine. That was my first like carry gun. Was my ruby, and the thing's gonna hold a special place. But to be fair, I pretty much carried all of my guns at one point, even like the Steyr Hahn. So it's just how it is. That's part of the history of them, and it just kind of sucks when something does go wrong on them. Like I think I bought like 10 mags for mine too, and I wanted to because mine only came with 1 mag, and I bought like 10 mags from the manufacturer of that, and it it worked out. I ended up getting a couple of them that work. Some of them didn't really fit that great. Some of them I had to take the Dremel to just a little bit. but I got like 4 of them now that feed really well. So, well, it's not going to be hard to find a replacement. And the problem with taking the firing pin out of the rubies too is you almost have to like bend them to get the firing pins out. So you got to like take it to a gunsmith to get a new one put in. Even so, if you just buy a ruby firing pin, and it should be close enough for your gunsmith to be able to get it to work. So, or who knows, he might not even need to find a replacement firing pin. You could probably just take it to a gunsmith and be like, "Hey, I know the firing pins in here broken." He might just be able to weld it together. So, or even just fashion you an entirely new one. Most gunsmiths will have a tiny little tabletop lathe, and he'll be able to make you a brand new one that'll fit in your gun. That'll be much better steel. So, you got lots of options there. Yeah, I like mine. Mine was cool. It was made in Spain, like they all were. It was used in World War One, and then mine was sold to Finland in the interwar. So in like 1923, it ended up being sold to Finland or something like that, according to the paperwork and stuff I got with my Ruby when I bought it. And they re-blued it all up real nice and stuff. So heck yeah. Those police guns though ended up usually being the like really nice ones of the bunch because the French only kept after World War One. The second the war was over, they sold off a lot of the like even kind of mid grade ones. So a lot of the ones the French like actually kept were the like really nice ones. So the fact that yours was retained by the French actually kind of speaks that you got one of the nicer manufacturers, or not really, I shouldn't say nicer manufacturer, but you got one of the nicer pistols. So that's kind of you can take solace in that they did that you got one of the nicer ones because if the French chose to keep it, it was one of the nicer ones. So oh, not really. I'm not looking at buying any guns here for a little bit. I got some big projects to be doing here on the house. I just I just got done today. Hopefully, fingers fucking crossed. Because for the last like 3 weeks, I've just been being a fucking plumber, just dealing with shit, plumbing wise, breaking in this fucking house. So I just had to. The wax ring on my toilet here in the basement went bad, so I had to take that big fucking bastard of a toilet off the floor in the um, basement here in that tiny little ass bathroom, which has like hardly any room in it. It's a very small bathroom, and I scraped all the stuff off that and put a new wax ring on it, put new bolts in it, cleaned out the flange and the pipes and stuff. All well, obviously methane's kind of sort of because it's an older house, so um, windows are open. It's been pretty cold here the last couple of days, so I had to sit in the cold and deal with human shit and a bunch of rust and stuff like that, trying to clean everything up with a little brass brush and cleaning out all those little bricks because the wax ring broke, so there was just human waste and water and tons of stuff all around underneath the toilet that I had to clean up as well. And then I scraped all the putty off the floor and off the toilet and cleaned that up real good and got a new wax ring in, new bolts in, new washers and everything. Got it all set in place, sealed it up really good, and then today I just sealed it around the toilet once I was sure it wasn't leaking. Um, so got that all done. And then before that, I had to replace some plumbing stuff inside Paige's toilet because she has it's not a good toilet. It was a toilet that Kohler decided to like bring into the country a while ago, and then um, they kind of got told don't because uh, it had weird part sizes on it. Like her flush valve Like the North American standard for flush valves is 2 inches or 3 inches. She has a 3.5 inch flush valve on her toilet. So like I had to replace that and all this other shit and stuff. And then she had some bad seals in her toilet, so it was kind of leaking and dripping. So yeah, I'm fine. Why wouldn't I be fine? But yeah, so it's just I'm glad I know a lot about plumbing because I've lived in a lot of piece of shit buildings. And you learn how to do stuff when you grow up poor by yourself living in piece of shit buildings. So no, both of so my toilet downstairs is a 3 inch, which is considered an older. It's not really high flow. It's still 1.6 gallons per flush. Um, but it's which is again the North American standard for toilets. But it's just having a bigger valve obviously means it clogs a little less, and kind of the 2 inch flush valves have kind of become a standard now because toilets have gotten better over the years, and so you can get much more pressure, which means you don't need as big of an opening, which means there's less stuff to go wrong. You don't need as big as seals and stuff like that, and it just makes the seals last a little bit longer. And it makes the seals a little bit cheaper and stuff like that. And you really don't need a 3 inch flush valve anymore with modern toilets. So 3 inches is kind of the older standard for toilets, and 2 inches is kind of the newer standard for toilets. But yeah, I had to replace that wax ring, and it was kind of dirty. At least they came out with the old wax ring that was on it. The reason it started to leak is because whoever put that toilet in put the wax ring on upside down, which is always cool. So it didn't seal good. But I got it all taken care of correct. So yeah, it was a fun time. I did that all yesterday. Started the garden. That was my big project for the day, and Paige's big project for the day was to pick out new vinyl flooring for the laundry room and to start the garden. Some of our plants, some of the for this region need to be started pretty early in order for it to produce because our growing season's kind of short up here in the north. So some of the plants we wanted to grow, we had to start like this week or next week in order for them to actually be able to produce. So, but yeah, so I've just been dealing with plumbing for the last couple of weeks, and hopefully nothing goes wrong here now for a little while. Because I've spent a lot of money and a lot of time and effort doing plumbing on this house. But yeah, if you do ever have to replace a wax ring on your toilet, get one of the newer seals. They're not as finicky because, like a wax ring, if you don't know what you're doing and you're not strong enough and you don't have help or a lot of room, which bathrooms historically don't have a lot of room, when you lift the toilet off, you can do whatever, but like you have to clean the surfaces of all the wax then, or otherwise you don't get a good seal for the next new wax ring you're putting on, because usually that wax is degraded and it's all like wet and stuff, so it doesn't stick great. So you have to get a new wax ring, but you have to clean all the old wax off really, really good off the flange and then off the toilet because you're supposed to stick the wax ring to the toilet and then lower the toilet perfectly straight down onto these little bolts that anchor it to the floor. And if you don't, or your wax ring falls off and gets kind of lopsided or something, then you have to pick the whole thing up again, get a whole new wax ring because you just deformed it and it'll leak now probably because chances are you won't get a great seal. So, but the new ones you can get new like foam rubber ones that are much better and they last a lot longer. So I recommend if you do ever have to do it, get two get two wax rings or get the the nice rubber seals. It's going to be much nicer because there's nothing like when you got sewer gas coming up through the floor and you're sitting there because there's water everywhere. You can never get all of it out of the toilet when you take it off. So thankfully, like my shower sits right across from the toilet, so I just tipped it all right into the shower so all the water could run out of the tank, what was left in the bowl. And Yeah, it was a bit rough. But there you go. You guys are learning something. Papa Devin gets to teach you guys how to do some basic plumbing today. But and I wish I could show you, Todd, but that little Savage there now is in its new stock. The video's not up yet, but it's in its brand new stock, and it's looking really pretty. It's brand new walnut stock, and I replaced all the screws on it. I went on to Numeric and got some new screws and stuff for it, to replace the ones that were kind of marred up from the way I got it, and man, it's looking real pretty. Turned out to be a real pretty gun. Hey, Victor boy, hmm? Doing okay back there? You having a good snooze? Hmm? 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 Hey, lady, what are you doing? Two kitties in here. Hmm. But how's everyone else been? Has anyone else bought anything cool lately? Bought anything cool? Done anything cool? Well, lady's kind of mean. She doesn't get along with the other cats. But Victor boy here, my sweet little angel, this sweet little angel here. But yeah, so that's been the story of my life for the last couple of weeks. I even pulled some of the powder out of that cool surplus ammo, and checked out the bullet and stuff, and it's nice. This Yugoslavian surplus shit's really nice, actually. So the powder in it was actually really nice as well. And some of the rounds got a little tarnished and stuff like that, but you don't like the Jennings 22? Everybody's had a Jennings J22. Come on, Gordon. What inspired you to buy a Jennings J22, though? Yeah, exactly. It was dirt cheap. I mean, so can you really complain if it's dirt cheap? You know? Well, I mean, if you're gonna buy a mean gun and you want cheap, you could buy the new High Point. What is it? The Yeet cannon? The High Point Yeet cannon? Yeet cannon. The YC9. It actually looks pretty good, to be honest. It's got a lot of new features. It's got all the same reliability and crap as like the old High Point, but they like updated some of the features and stuff on it. No, I don't know what my next purchase is going to be. But I mean, but look at that thing. It's got a rail on it now. It's optics capable, fully ambidextrous, threaded barrel on it. Dan the man, the legend. Welcome, Dan. You bought anything new or done anything cool lately? Because we were just talking about how I've just been doing plumbing in this house for the last like couple weeks. I've just been doing nothing but plumbing. So there's another one coming up here in town on the 28th. of February here in St. Cloud, which is next week on Wednesday. And it'll go for a few days. It'll be at the Armory. And I think Victor Boy just tooted. But, you know, the last year's one though wasn't that great. It was mostly like an arts and craft show. There was only a couple people selling guns. So heck yeah, K11's a good rifle. A Colt Cobra, heck yeah. Colt Cobra's a good gun. Good morning, sir. How are you? You do anything cool or bought anything cool lately? I think the Colt Cobra was kind of an undersung gun because obviously it got overshadowed by the Python. Everyone really likes the Python, but I think that the Cobra was a freaking sweet gun because it's just basically a tinier little Python. How much that set you back, if you don't mind me asking? Heck yeah. Sounds like it's been a rough little bit then. I gotta stop using the metal rack as a footrest on my table here because it ends up just absolutely killing my ankles. But this chair doesn't recline or anything. It's kind of a cheap chair. So, well, at least you went to your parents' silver wedding, you know? $400 for a Colt Cobra is not a bad price, especially if it's one of the like older ones. So that's not bad at all. I'm doing pretty good. Just been busy working, doing a lot of plumbing. Tomorrow I got to go take some people out shooting. We're gonna go take some people out to shoot their very first handgun ever. I got a group of people lined up to go, so we're all gonna go take a basic introductory safety class, and then we're gonna shoot some handguns. And Paige isn't able to make it; she has to work tomorrow, which kind of sucks. Because I was really hoping she could go shoot her new little concealed carry I got her. I got her an Equinox limited edition SIG P238, and then I got extended magazines for it, and I put day-night sights on it, True Glow day-night sights on it for her. Got her a brand new barrel for it, a nicer barrel than the factory one it came with. I did a trigger job on it. Replaced the polymer trigger with an actual aluminum trigger. All that other good stuff. Really got it all working nice. So I want to shoot that tomorrow, kind of sort of get it sighted in. And then I got to sight in the red dot on one of my pistols tomorrow. And then I'm just going to let everyone else just kind of shoot the SIG 210 in the Tokarev. And just kind of be like, here's a fucking box of ammo. Get after it. So, but I'll probably be off by myself, just trying to sight in those two little things while everyone else just kind of shoots a couple mags. Probably it'll only take us an hour. I don't know how a lot of these people are going to do, and at least if they drop the Tokarev, I'm not going to be too concerned if they drop it because they get scared or something and they bang it up. It's a $50 gun. I could care less. So yeah, it'll be fine. So I'm sure once everyone gets past the first round, because these people, I think all of them have never even held a handgun, let alone shot one. So once they realize it's not that bad, once they get past that first round, then heck yeah. Yeah, it was one of the scratch and dent models that the Mosin crate got in a couple of years ago, and the only thing that was wrong with it is on the side of the slide there was one ever so slight, tiny little like scratch in it. Other than that, it was a brand new fucking Chinese Type 54, brand spanking new. Came with 2 magazines even. So I'm like, that'll be fun to take out and shoot. And it's the first handgun I let Paige shoot and stuff like that, and she did it just fine. If you can handle the Tokarev, you can handle pretty much any handgun, of similar size and caliber. It'll be fine. Yeah, 50 was a good price, and that's when like a lot of the Tokarevs were selling here for the ones that weren't scratch and dent models were selling for like $200. So when I bought it, most of the Tokarevs, except for the Yugos and obviously the original Russian ones, those were going for more. But as far as like the standard like clones, they were going for around $200. Yeah, $50 brand new Chinese Type 54. Best part was I could CNR it, even though my gun was made in like 1988. It's like brand fucking new. It was a really late production one. It was a Norinco made. A really super late production on that Tokarev. So it's got like good metal in it and stuff even. Because it wasn't when China was hurting so bad. Yeah, it's Chinese Type 54. Yeah, I'd love to get an M57, but I got other stuff on my plate I got to pay for first. Like I got to buy a bunch of cinder blocks to make some raised garden beds. Yeah, you can still get them for pretty cheap. So, but I got to get an M57. I just like the ability to like replace the sights on them because like the most Tokarevs you can't replace the sights on. You can replace the rear sight, but the front sight you can't. And I would like to get a nice M57 and then put some night sights on it so it's actually like a viable carry around here because I like it as a carry gun. Tokarev was my second carry gun. After the Ruby, after everyone was making fun of me for carrying my little Ruby, they were like, well, you got to get a better gun. And it's like, well, go out and buy a Glock or whatever. It's like, I've never been a big fan of Glock, and I've always been a cool, like, historical guy. So I was like, I'll go get a Tokarev. They're still really cheap. And I bought a Tokarev, and that was my second carry gun after the Ruby. And I carried that for a lot of years. Carried my Tokarev for, it's probably the gun I've carried the most. It's been the Tokarev. But I just gotta get an M57, I think. Anyway, it's not so dark in here. It'd be cool. It's on the list. There's a lot of stuff on the list. So I gotta go take that little Savage 340 to get drilled and tamped. Yeah, it's a thing I liked about it. It's nice and all steel. Um, yeah, all back there. Yeah, and that one right there is a shotgun actually. Yeah, those are all my fancy old guns. Um, they're all Canadian, Austrian, or Finnish. That's fine. But the thing I liked about the Tokarev is you could still get the ammo for it. The magazines were cheap for it. It was a gun that, because like all these people carrying these like big Gucci guns, if you shoot somebody, the cops are more than likely going to take it for evidence. You'll get it back eventually, but it's like I'd rather have them take a cheap piece of shit gun. The round is a really fucking good, viable round. It'll go through a lot of stuff. It'll penetrate a lot of stuff. The gun's really reliable. It's been used in the Second World War, countless wars. It's probably killed more Americans than any other handgun, and it's just a fantastic gun. It's so narrow. It's already anti-snag built in. There's tons of holsters and carry options out there for them. There's really nothing to go wrong on it. The semi-shrouded hammer. It's a snag-free system. It fits in my tiny little hands. I have very small hands, so finding a handgun that fits my tiny little hands is kind of hard to do. So, and it just fit my hand really nice on top of that. So I can't do a lot of the big wide double stacks because my hands are too small and I have to readjust my grip all the time. So well, it's the Tokarev. The Tokarev was made by tons of countries in the Soviet Union. So it's one of the most mass-produced handguns ever as far as military handguns go. Yep, my tiny, tiny little hands. I got tiny little hands, unfortunately. But the Walther was used by quite a lot because, like, what France used them, Germany used them. Uh, I'm sure there were some other countries that used them in limited quantities, but it would ultimately uh, it would ultimately influence the Beretta. Um, most of the Berettas, like the 92 and stuff like that, are just they're literally the same internally as a Walther. It's the same system, anyways, which is kind of nice. Yeah, the most common handgun in Iraq and Afghanistan was the Tokarev. Um, a lot of Chinese Tokarevs in Afghanistan. Huge amount of Chinese Tokarevs in Afghanistan. So they work good. The ammo's good. It's like that 5.7 that everyone's so keen on nowadays. Tokarev's pretty much the same thing. Did it first. So hey, lady, you don't go up there. Mom will be mad if you go sit on her accordion. Already had to take Oliver off there. Don't knock anything down either. You're on very thin ice back there. But yeah, I'm so glad you shut the door on yourself, you idiot. God dang it. This is why we can't have nice things. Thank you. I've only seen the two. The two that like me the most have been down here. Victor and Lady. Lady, you can't stand on Mom's accordion. Come here. Come. Come here. She doesn't like when you do that. She doesn't like when you stand on her accordion, lady. So. I don't want a weapon light on my handguns or anything anyways. I just like day-night sights. So that's all I really care about. I don't need fancy red dots. I got one handgun with a red dot on it. And it's all right. Red dots are cool and all, but I'm also not a super great handgun shooter. I don't need all that high speed tech on my gun. Chances are your handgun engagement distance is going to be the less than the distance you could actually throw the gun, so I don't need all that fancy lights and stuff. And it's just more stuff to bang up and beat up and go wrong and then clean, and you have to maintain the batteries and do all this other shit. Stuff like that. I don't have to do that if I don't put it on the gun. I don't have to worry about beating it up or cleaning the carbon off the fucking lens so it'll actually shine bright, keeping the batteries in it. And then, in a panic situation, actually remembering to turn it on. I don't need to do that if I don't have it. So that works. You want to get out, lady? Exactly. Sure. And I've used weapon lights before and stuff like that, but it's just one more thing to maintain. It's one more thing you got to buy batteries for. It's one more thing. It's one more thing you have to like clean the. Like a lot of people don't realize this. Like handguns usually have a ton of like unburned powder, and stuff like that, and they deposit so much carbon and things onto the lens of your light, just by how that works. So if you do get a light for your gun, and to make it a lot practically and easier to clean, take some like petroleum jelly and put on the lens a nice thin layer. Um, it's clear enough to where the light will still get through really bright, but then all of that carbon sticks to the petroleum jelly rather than the lens, and you could just wipe it off and then throw a new super thin layer of petroleum jelly on your light lens. And then it's much easier to clean the lens of your light. So it's the same thing on your rifle and stuff too. Especially if you have a big muzzle brake and stuff like that, you can get a lot of stuff that you deposit onto the lens, and then your handgun doesn't. Then your light doesn't work as good. So, but yeah, that little bit of petroleum jelly on the lens goes a long ways as far as keeping it clean. So, fun fact. Hey, boy. What? What do you want? There you go. That's right, Victor, baby. Such a good boy. Yeah, night sights are great. Handguns that don't come with night sights kind of suck. That's usually one of the first things I replace all my handguns except for my Sig 210, because I'm not going to mess with the Sig 210 because it's just a classic. I've put night sights on. Day night sights. I've got a brand that I really like. I usually buy Mepro Light. You can in certain places carry handguns, like revolvers for wildlife and stuff. But if you're looking for some good night sights and stuff like that, or some different, more innovative things, Mepro Light, they're made in Israel. You can get them on Amazon. They make a really, really good day-night sight. Hello, sir. They even have some weird options too, where you can take the front sight off your gun, and they have a thing that is just a rear sight, which is a lot more anti-snag. So exactly. And I like about these because they're definitely they're both fiber optic and tritium powered night sights, so you get the best of both worlds, day and night. That's what I really like about Mepro Light. So they make a lot of neat stuff. So if you're looking for some good handgun sights. And that reminds me, I got a bunch of people from work. I'm sorry, Victor Boy. I know you're leaning against me. I got this big bastard for changing pistol sights. The big Lyman fine adjuster. TruGlo makes some awesome day-night sights. That's what I put on Page's concealed carry. Was TruGlo's. So I like Meprolite, but Meprolite's kind of one of those things where it's like they're good, but they're discount. Obviously, it's not a brand that a lot of people are really go for, and they're kind of just starting out and they're new. Whereas like TruGlo makes basically the cream of the crop. They're really nice. So that's what I got for Page's little Sig 238 Equinox. Is those. So, which I was glad I didn't even have to buy two sets like TruGlo, because most of my Sigs are the dovetails on them are size 8 for both front and back. That Sig 238 is 6 for front and back, and you can find a lot of 8s for rears and 6s for fronts, or you can find 6s for rears and difference for fronts. I'm gonna have to buy 2. TruGlo actually made a set that is 6 and 6 specifically for the Sig 238 and 938. I was like, awesome. They're one of the few places that actually had that. So they weren't cheap though. For that sight set, that was pretty pricey. Hey lady, welcome back. What's going on out there? No, I already had to take you down. No. Stop. I know what you're thinking. You're not that smart. You're also big and fluffy, so you're easy as fuck to see. But yeah, and I changed her sight, so I'm gonna go sight her gun in tomorrow. That's part of the plan. I gotta go probably should stop before I go and buy another box of 380 practice ammo. Well, we're talking about iron sights here. I don't like a lot of EOTech sights. I've never been a fan of like holographics or red dots or anything. I pretty much almost exclusively shoot iron sights. I'm really, really good at shooting iron sights on a rifle. A very good shot on a rifle. The first rifle I'm ever going to have that has a scope on it, like personally, that I wasn't like issued to me or anything. First one that I'm ever going to have that I'm going to put a scope on is that little hunting rifle. And even then, the scope that's going to go on it is going to be pretty easy to quick detach because it also has really good iron sights. That rifle does. So, but I've just come to realize you don't need to. Yeah, and it's just more stuff to go wrong. Honestly, they're kind of a pain to sight in. Unless you're going to spend money and get like a high quality bore sight and stuff like that, which helps it get a lot closer. But it's just more stuff to go wrong. It's more stuff to bang up. It's more money to spend. You don't need to. Just learn how to shoot on what people have been shooting on for hundreds of years. I mean, if you get good with iron sights, who cares if there's an EMP or the end of the world happens or whatever? You don't have to worry about wasting ammo, changing too much to do anything. Like your scope, they're gonna hold 0 unlike a lot of scopes if you bang them or bump them. Just, iron sights are the way to go. People did it for years. That's just me though. Everyone's a little different. I know some people where their eyes get bad and they need a scope, and they'll get something that's like a variable power because you can get them for cheap now. I 100% understand that. If you're out hunting, and stuff like that, and you want to have a scope because your eyes aren't good, awesome. You do you. But I don't need to do that. Everything works out fine. I've messed around with a lot of scopes. I've had a lot of rifles that I've had different scopes on and stuff like that, and shot a lot of different rifles with scopes. I don't see anything wrong with them. It's just how it is, you know? But yeah, I don't have a lot of controversial opinions on a lot of stuff. To be fair, it's whatever you feel comfortable with, whatever you feel comfortable with using. I'm not somebody that puts somebody down. The only people I really put down are Glock people. Just treat yourself to something better, for sure. Like, the only reason I'm even gonna get a scope put on this Savage 340 um, is pretty much every model already came tapped for a Weaver side mount scope. Um, it's just how it is, and I would like to have one just to have. Put that I have the Weaver side mount scope with it. It came with the gun. Have it right here in my Lyman box actually, and all the parts for it. And I just got to have the guy drill the receiver, and bam. Then I'll have a scope, and I want to buy a. I'm not going to buy some new age fangled high power scope for it. It's a 30-30. It's 30-30 is cool and all, but it's really, you're kind of pushing it after 200 yards. So I'm going to sight it in for 150 yards. Okay, that way I can hold a little low for 100 or less, and a little high for 200. Perfect. I don't need something that's more than like 4 times zoom. But if I can find a variable for cheaper, that's what I'm going to buy, as long as it looks like it goes with the gun. I'm not going to buy a big newfangled fancy scope that looks like it's not supposed to go with the gun, you know? I want to buy something that looks like it would go with that gun in the, 1950s or 60s or 70s, when people were using them. Nah, Glock people are fine really in the end, but if you're a guy that's like that likes the stock Glock, those people are great. But the people that are like, I'm gonna buy this Glock and then I'm gonna do $800 worth of shit to it, just buy a nicer gun. Don't buy a Glock. You know what I mean? Heck yeah. And it's like, I love 30-30. 30-30 is the very first animal I ever shot was with Savage 99 and 30-30. So, and I don't need anything fancy. I like 30 caliber. I like rimmed ammo. I didn't want a lever gun. I wanted a bolt action. And this thing came up. The price was way cheap on it. And it works out. I agree. Like, if I could find like a Gen 1 Glock for a good price and it wasn't beat to shit, I'd probably buy one just to have one. You know what I mean? But it's like, I also don't know why people would buy a Glock now when there's like so many other people that have coming out. Like, look at the Sig 320. I think that's a much better gun than a lot of Glocks. I think the trigger's nice. I think the triggers are nicer on it. It has all the same cool features that you want. It has all the same upgrades that you can do to it. And it's the same price. So, but like, if you're gonna spend $600 on a gun and then you're gonna drop $800 on it, why not just find a really nice $1,200 gun that already has all that shit on it, and it's gonna be so much nicer because it's not a Glock on the inside. You know what I mean? Like, just you have so many other options if you're going in with $1,000 to buy a gun instead of buying a Glock and dumping stuff into it. Just buy a nice $1,000 handgun. You know what I mean? But like, I also know those guys where they do it just because they like the plug and play of it. Like, I got a friend who bought he bought the new Glock 47, which is the frame that you can put the 19 slide on or the 17 slide on. Okay, and it works out no matter what. And he's got one. He keeps the 19 slide on it, which he's got like a fancy 19 slide that's all rounded off and nice and polished and really low profile for his carry gun. And then he has his 17 upper that he puts on it that is red dot cut and has the barrel uh, extended and comped and stuff like that. And he uses it for like a race gun, and he just uses the same frame that he put a trigger job on. He had one hell of a trigger job on it, but this is a guy that has made a lot of Glocks. So, so yeah. But that's his thing. His thing is like, I'm just gonna dump money on into Glocks. And I'm like, cool, you do you. But it's like, but then ultimately, like, I take him out to shoot my fucking Sig 210, which is an 8-shot 9mm very expensive handgun. And he's like, "This is a really fucking nice gun." And I'm like, "See, see." it's a. He's like, "This is a really fucking nice gun." I'm like, "I know it is. It's a fucking fantastic gun." He's like, "My only gripe with it is that it only holds 8 rounds." I'm like, "They fucking go wherever you put them, though. Wherever you point that gun, things a fucking laser beam." Yeah, you usually get better performance out of higher end stuff. Like Todd just said, an HKVP9 is pretty much a Glock, but it's better on the inside, and the manufacturing's better. Shadow Systems sells Gucci Glocks, like he said, for $1,000. It has everything you could want done to a Glock without you having to do it and possibly fucking it up and all this other shit. And it's like, just spend money on a nicer gun. The only thing that I believe you shouldn't spend a lot of money on is your carry gun. Your carry gun should be cheap. And the reason that's a hot take. That's probably a hot take for a lot of people. I'm like, your carry gun should be cheap because you're going to be fucking banging it into shit, just wearing it. Okay, like I got a Ruby and I love it, um, but it's one of those things. I wish it wasn't as picky on ammo as it is, and I wish more 32 was available. But that's beside the point. But like your carry gun, I think should be cheap because if you go out and buy a $1,200 or like $1,000 plus carry gun, and then all you're gonna do is wear that on your waistband and bump into shit with it and all that other stuff, ding it up because you're wearing it, taking it in and out, and it rubs across your belt buckle or something like that. You know, all this other stuff. And yeah, it's just gonna be confiscated after you use it, and they'll give it back to you probably. But it's like, buy some cheap little Wonder Nine, buy a little high point that's gonna go off every time you shoot it, and it eats whatever kind of ammo. That's the best kind of carry gun. It'll go off if you don't have to worry about it rubbing against your belt buckle, or you slamming the fucking car door into it, so your friend's car door on it accidentally through your clothes and things like that. You don't have to worry about that. So exactly, you know, that's where a lot of people are really missing out on finding a good carry gun is getting a police trade-in gun. You can get a police trade-in gun for pretty cheap, and that's a gun that it's already been kind of used and shot and beat up a little bit. Go ahead, beat up on that. That's the thing. Don't ever buy an expensive carry gun because it's like my carry gun is already from where it rubs on the holster and where it's rubbed on my belt buckle a few times because I appendix carry. Um, that it just don't do that with an expensive gun. See what I mean? Like it might be like a hot take, but there's logic behind it. That's the thing. I'm not doing any takes that are so horrendous that it's really actually all that unreasonable. Like there's a lot of sound logic behind that. Like if you're somebody like me who has like kind of oily acidic skin, um, that's just gonna be on your gun. Eventually, it's going to start eating at the finishing stuff on your gun. You don't want to do that on an expensive, like, stainless steel gun, you know, because eventually my acidic skin oils, most people's acidic skin oils, will eat into that metal. Exactly. See, Todd gets it. Buy the better gun. Yeah, they tend to come with night sights because it's required. A lot of police work at night and in dark locations, so having night sights are kind of nice. And like I said, it's one of the first things I replace on my guns is the night sights. I might even still have my box from the night sights that I bought and put on my gun. Yeah, there we go. The Meprolite Micro RDS. So what it is you get a quick detach red dot that goes on top of a rear sight that is day-night. It is fiber optic and tritium, and it dovetails on. So you don't need to cut your gun. You can buy this red dot that clips onto the rear sight, and then you get a rear sight and a front sight. And you can get it all for a pretty good price. So that's the only red dot I have. I put it on my little SIG 239. Exactly. You want to, but like that's the thing. You can go out and buy a used gun for your carry gun and just let it. So I'm also going to apparently be on a Friday night shite with Mike here in a little bit. So whenever he wants to start that up, like you want a gun that's going to go bang, and I've got nothing wrong with carrying smaller calibers too. I love 32 ACP. I like 380. Um, those just tend to work better for me because I like a gun for the longest time that you could slide into your pocket. So for me, tinier guns work better because I got tiny little hands. If Russia, Britain, and Germany went against France, Austria, and the Ottomans, France, Austria, and the Ottomans would lose, unfortunately, because Russia had the largest land army. Britain was a huge economic power. Germany is a huge industrial manufacturing power, and really one of the biggest things they had on them was the fact that Britain blockaded them. So now that Britain's not blockading them, they can still get access to resources. So you have the money, the means of manufacturing, and the manpower with those three. And all you get in France, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and the Ottomans is a shit ton of internal conflict. So that is true. Heck yeah. How's the bus? Is it nice and clean? No, I'm just hanging out. I'm in the basement though. I'm in my office. Public transport's pretty decent. Come on now, most public transport's pretty decent. I get it, Todd. He tells a lot of the same ones too, which is cool and all, but once I've heard it twice, I'm good. But just how it be. Just how it be. I was excited since I've been doing all that plumbing. I did get to use my my Christmas present to myself. It's it's the only Christmas present I got was the one I got for myself, other than some food that some people made for me. I bought myself a fancy pair of pliers to go into my range bag. It's one of the few things I keep my old fucking case blaze orange flathead screwdriver in there. And yeah, then these I used to keep a cheap Walmart set in there, but like I can help you change out a garbage disposal. Actually, done that a couple times. But yeah, and I like these things a lot. I like how they're like the grips aren't fancy or anything on them. They're not too slippery. They're nice metal. The lockup on these pliers is really nice. I like how there's a bunch of options in the little teeth there, which I just like having for guns and stuff. So turned out to be pretty slick. I used it to break off the rusty anchor bolts in the floor. Actually, this little tiny piece of pliers I used to break off the anchor bolts, and I like this a lot. I like this little tiny pair so much that I might get an even longer needle nose pair, and then I might get a bigger pair. They're pricey, but I like it. I see why people pay good money for good tools, and I'm a big fan of Harbor Freight. Most of my tools come from Walmart or Harbor Freight, but maybe I got to start getting some nicer tools. So that's all I gotta say. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Before I got myself a nice ratcheting screwdriver before I bought that little set of pliers. I like that ratcheting screwdriver a lot. Man, Todd needs help plumbing. I've been doing a lot of plumbing. I have experience. So nothing's leaked so far. Actually, a lot of the stuff leaked before I got to it, and now that I'm done with it, it doesn't leak. Goal of plumbing. Heck yeah. Which works for me. I'll take it, you know. But yeah, I'm getting real sick and tired of plumbing. Oh, good. AT&T sent me a text apologizing for the fact that I had no phone signal for most of the day on Thursday. So because they had that like countrywide blackout for some reason. Don't know what caused it. They haven't said what caused it yet. But my phone was on SOS all day, pretty much, on Thursday, which sucked. Granted, I didn't do that much, but at least I don't use my phone a ton, so it wasn't so bad. When I'm at home, I got the Wi-Fi, you know. Heck yeah, I wear mine all the time. I wore those for a lot of years as my work boots because they were just nice and thick. I don't like a lot of synthetic liners in my boots or anything like that. It was just nice, thick, um, nice thick leather. Took a polish really well, really easily resolvable. Once you broke them in, they just went on like a glove. You know, what is the California of Canada? That's British Columbia. They are up there as far as I think I've only had one pair of surplus boots that was a rougher break-in than those French ones, those French double buckles, and that is the Austrian like M59 mountain boots. Those those had a rough break-in. That's the roughest break-in I've had so far. Alberta. Alberta's Canadian Texas. Yeah, those French ones, though, they're not so bad. Just they're gonna come dry as hell. Take the insoles out, grease them inside and out, let it sit, for a bit, so you can let that leather really absorb. And it's like just wear them around the house for a couple hours. As long as you can stand wearing them, wear them just around the house on the carpet and stuff like that. Um, till they start to get broken, and then you can start going on like light walks and stuff with them, and eventually you'll see them like just form to like your ankle bones and everything like that, and then they're so fucking good. Which Jungle Boots? Because I've got a lot of different pairs of Jungle Boots from different countries. The US ones are okay. I'm not a fan of them compared to my French Jungle Boots. I like the French Jungle Boots a lot better. They're canvas and direct molded sole rubber. They're much more comfortable to wear. They breathe much better. They dry much quicker. So they work on the same principle where the water just gets out. But like unlike being leather, which will eventually disintegrate in the rain and the mud and stuff like that, the cotton just dries super quick. It's easy to brush off. They're cheap to make, cheap to buy. Palladium still makes them actually. The original 49 pattern French canvas jungle boots. You can still buy them. They're kind of a fashion shoe now, but they make them the same way actually. They're much nicer than the American ones. And I was telling Mike that for years because he was just like, he's a big of like the Americans this and the Americans that, and it was like, yeah, they're pretty cool. Those American jungle boots are pretty good. But it's like, have you ever tried the French ones? And then he got a pair of the French ones at his size, and he's like, holy shit, those French ones are way nice. And I'm like, yes, they are. So true. Well, those Austrian mountain boots that I bought um, took forever to break in. Took forever. They're so overbuilt though. They're so heavy. And I don't know when the uppers were made, but according to the soles on them, the soles which has all the like nails and they're rubber, but it has all these like nails and stuff in them. Says that my boots were made in like '62, so my pair. And I love them. They're nice. They took a long, long time to break in. Yeah, the French boots are good though. Just make sure you hydrate that leather really good. It's gonna need it. They didn't store them super great, and if you're buying the tan ones, they're gonna come because they came with the storage wax on them. You're going to need to take a heat gun and melt all that wax and wipe it off before it will absorb any um, grease or anything like that. They did it because it makes them last a lot longer in the shelf. But you got to wipe all that wax off the outside before you can. Yeah, them Yugoslav mountain boots are also pretty dense. Well, a lot of people are bad walkers, and they weren't designed for walkers. For concrete, they're designed for soft, squishy dirt and grass and like leaves and stuff. They don't have a super hard outsole, so concrete will just eat through those jungle boots. They weren't designed for that. They were designed for nice soft ground. Heck yeah, same principle. It's a nice little like fabric upper, and it's just a little direct molded sole thing. Heck yeah, yeah. And once you break them in and you take care of them and stuff, they'll take care of you. I mean, my favorite pair of US boots that I wear is right outside the door there, and I wear those pretty regularly, and it's just a pair of the old, I forget who made mine. I think mine were a Row Search manufacturer. They're the all leather combat boots with the speed laces and the Jeep tread sole on them. I like those a lot. I like those better than I like my American Jungle boots, actually, because my pair of American Jungle boots was made in '77, so just after Vietnam, and they're all right and stuff. But hey, Big Pippy, people don't get to see you very much. You don't come out of hiding all that often. This is a rare viewing of the largest cat we have, Big Pippy. Look at him. He's such a scared boy. He normally hides all the time. Hey, Big P. It's just a good boy right there. That's just a big, big boy, though. You're just a big, big boy, aren't you? Meow. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for stopping by, Pippy. So yeah, I like those classic full leather combat boots more than I like the jungle boots. Because I'm not one of those people. I don't think the canvas really gives me that much more breathability or lightness. I'd rather have like the ankle support and the sturdiness more. So I like the full leather ones a lot. But like I also my circulation's pretty good, but I don't have like hot feet or cold feet or anything like that. I tend to not sweat a lot, which is good. So my boots don't stink or build up a lot of obviously that like oil and grossness in them. That's just for me though. So I've never had a problem with wearing full leather boots. A lot of people say they get too hot. But leather's actually surprisingly breathable, a lot more breathable than like nylon and other stuff because it is skin and it will draw that moisture and all those oils and stuff away from your skin because it is skin and it is absorbent of that stuff. So when people say that leather boots aren't breathable and stuff like that, they're normally getting cheap leather boots, or it's not actually leather or anything like that. Oh, hey, Pippi, welcome back, sir. It's a big Pippi. Don't you go on top of the accordion. I've had to take 2 other cats off the accordion already, Pippi. Hey. 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 No. Stop. Pippi. I know you're thinking about it, boy. Gosh darn it. Exactly. You gotta love a nice pair of leather boots. That's the thing. Pippi? Hey. I'm sorry, buddy, but I gotta get you, okay? Come here. I know. Come here. It's okay. Okay, buddy. You're just a big boy, but you can't be on mom's accordion, okay? I know you don't like to be held. Shh, shh, shh. It's okay, Pippi. You're just a big boy. You just can't stand on mom's accordion, okay? That's all. 3 of them I've had to throw off the accordion. I've never been a real sweaty person, though. Born in the Arctic, I live in the north. Even after like hard exercise, I'm still not really sweating all that much. So it makes me get real fucking hot though in the summer. I absolutely fucking hate the summer because I don't sweat very much. So I get nose not very good at self cooling. So But yeah, boots are nice. I'm a fan. Um, my favorite pairs, I got Rocky S2Vs. I wear those a lot. Big fan of the Rocky S2Vs. It's my go-to recommendation for pretty much everybody. And leather's better than any other material. Bought a new pair of dress shoes the other day that I've been kind of slowly polishing in my spare time. A lot of people like their Justins for cowboy boots, but I only have one pair of cowboy boots, and I really only need one pair of cowboy boots. So I went and I invested in a nice pair of Chizos. So and I like them. I like my cowboy boots a lot. So, but mine aren't really made for like working. They're more of like a casual cowboy boot. To be fair, I don't have a lot of casual boots, so it was a thing that I really wanted to, as an American now, to complete my American garb. The last thing I need, I already got a cowboy hat, I got a flannel shirt, I got a pair of Levi's jeans, I got a pair of cowboy boots. I just got one of the get one of them big gaudy belt buckles now. I'll have the whole thing. So, but I don't have a big gaudy belt buckle yet. It's the last piece I need. Yeah. New patterns of boots, Alexi. Well, it sounds like they're investing in some good pairs of boots. I still think you guys peaked with the M59, so just saying. My M59's in the other rooms. I wore them out the other day when I was shoveling and stuff for a couple light walks. Pretty hard to beat. Well, Zoroastrianism was the first like religion. One of the first that had like a single god and stuff like that. No, I'm on month's vacation right now. So I've been off since like February 8th or something like that. And I don't need to be back until the 30th. Not the 30th. I mean the 11th of March 11th. So gross ops cores. But I mean, you might as well if you're overhauling the uniform, you might as well do the whole thing. But it's like, are you guys going to be like what Germany did and France did and Switzerland did? We're all going to like the Hicks, Nepal, because everybody's fucking wearing the Hicks, Nepal now. It seems like, and I want to get a pair, but they're kind of pricey. Heck yeah, but because my pair of winter boots for the longest time that I wore was those German um 2008s, the model '08s leather boots. Wore those for years. Are the new boots black, Alexi, or are they tan? Did they go to brown like everyone else did? I know, right? It's just because it worked out at a real shitty other time of the year that nobody actually wants off. So everyone wants the summer and the fall and the holidays off. Well, most countries are going to like brown now, brown boots. Most of them are going to like suede too, or like nubuck. They're not even going to like polishable brown. That's fair. While we're at it, we should just bring back hobnails. Get that intimidation factor. I think black boots are the way to go, though. I really do. I think it is. It's the easiest to maintain. It's the most common color to get polished for. Like something about a really nice shiny pair of like black boots, just real professional looking, you know? Yeah, about 1 inch heel is about all I need. A nice low block heel. I don't want anything too crazy. I'm a big fan of like wedge soles too, because you get more support and more surface area, which is why I really like the Rocky S2Vs because they're technically a wedge sole design. So you don't have that little dip where the heel is supposed to be. The sole's just flat, which means you get way more surface area. So, and by also having a flat boot, you're getting support from the ground rather than relying on the whole boot to provide the support. You get support from the ground because there's no empty space there. Food for thought, you know. Surface area is important. That's why a lot of contractors and everything wear like the like Vibram Christie polyurethane wedge soles. Those provide you a lot of surface area, which actually can provide you, despite the fact that there isn't a lot of deep traction cuts in it, it can provide you a ton of traction just because you have more surface area. It's also why like a lot of barefoot shoes are also flat on the bottom. There's plenty of countries that still polish boots in the military. No, hasn't been done in the last branch of the military to have black boots was the Navy, and that was until about 2012. Then they got rid of the black boots even. So, but they kept black boots for a lot longer for a lot of reasons because the polish was actually a lot of people in the Navy are being exposed to like harsh chemicals and fuel and stuff like that. So the black boots, if you polished them, it made them last a lot longer and obviously provided much more waterproofness and stuff in ocean conditions where it tends to storm and rain a lot. And obviously exposure to water. So by having black boots that you can polish, you actually got a lot more life out of your boots. But even the Navy has gone to suede now. Gotta have it. Less work. We gotta throw Velcro on everything and all this other bullshit. They still can wear black leather boots, yeah. And they do for certain jobs, for what I just explained. Me too. I'm really pumped up to get that L1A1 receiver. Are revolvers still relevant? Yes. Because revolver you can get revolvers in much larger, better calibers for protection from wildlife. They work really, really well in the cold and adverse conditions. And they um, don't have to, especially like in the woods or in the cold or stuff like that. If you're like, one problem I have with semi-autos a lot is if somebody grabs a gun, you get one round because the slide won't work. Or if you push the muzzle into somebody, it pushes the slide back and then it's out of battery and your gun won't go off. A revolver won't do that. So a revolver works in much closer conditions and stuff like that, and all this other cool stuff that I really like the revolver for. So, and big rounds for bears, big rounds like the Smith and Wesson like 460 Magnum and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of cool revolver rounds out there. 454 Casull, tons of stuff. Or you can get something cool like the Smith and Wesson Governor, which you can shoot 410 shotgun shells out, 45 long Colts. I think they even have a model that was beefed up enough to shoot 454 Casull. You can shoot 45 ACP out of it and put it on moon clips. Like you have a ton of stuff. I'm doing quite well. Mr. John Shanahan. I learned a lot about Ireland with Mr. John Shanahan. Him and Mr. Moore. Yeah, like with a Glock, if you push it into somebody and it pushes the slide back just enough that it won't go off, it won't work out of battery. Whereas a revolver doesn't really get out of battery. Yep, and most modern handguns are going to use a derivative of the Browning tilting barrel action. So it's the most common pistol action out there. Whereas if a revolver does that, you push that really hard into somebody, you're just going to put 6 rounds of whatever through the same hole. So it's just how it is. And if I'm dealing with wildlife, I would much rather have 6 really big rounds than a bunch of little rounds. Just saying. Like I said, you get that little Smith and Wesson Governor too with the lightweight Scandi frame. You could shoot a ton of different 45 ammo out of that, or 410 shotgun shells. I mean, fair. 5 high points is pretty hard to beat. There's a lot to dump and throw with. If I was a bear, I'm not sticking around for a guy to shoot 50 rounds at me through high points. Because even though they're only like 10 rounds or whatever, heck, I mean, it's still 50 rounds. 50 rounds of 380 is a lot of 380. So I go outside a lot. Usually not much this time of the year. There's not a lot going on this time of the year, but in the summer and the fall, I'm outside a lot. So springtime, I'll be out in the garden a lot outside. That'll be most of my time outside will be doing house projects. Got a big garden project to do. I got to make some raised garden beds, and I'm just going to do it with cinder blocks. Pallet of cinder blocks is like $400, and I'm going to make 3 really big raised garden beds with that. Mike wants to start his stream in about 5 minutes here. So yeah, heck yeah. Well, I do have to buy. I was talking about it in the Discord because I have a pest problem in my yard. I have a couple of squirrels that keep breaking my bird feeders, and a bunch of rabbits that like to eat my garden, and my berry bushes and stuff like that. So my city has rules about discharging firearms in town. I can't have slingshots by name, bows by name, or crossbows by name. I can't have anything that is considered air powered. So I found a really powerful spring powered pellet gun, which, according to how the law is worded, is technically legal for me to be able to discharge in city limits to deal with some of my pest problems. No, not for just like hanging out by my house. No. But I wish that was the case. But at first I thought, I'm like, well, I'll just go get some little calibris and shoot them through the 22. But I'm like, it's still kind of a risk if somebody sees me and wants to report me or something like that. But I'm like, well, maybe I'll just get a pellet rifle. Get a nice spring powered pellet rifle. Shoot them, because I can't use a BB gun because that's air powered. You know, like it really limited me how they have it worded. And I found this and I was like, a pellet rifle that'll throw a 30 caliber pellet. I can get it in 22, 25, or 30, but it'll throw a 30 caliber pellet, almost 800 FPS with a spring. I was like, that'll kill a squirrel and a couple of little bunny rabbits. So it's either that or I could go out there with the Mosin and just try to spear them, you know. The cats are fucking pampered indoor cats. They won't even know what to do. Can't have a slingshot. Slingshots are banned by name. I could either get like a blow dart gun or I could get a spring powered pellet rifle. Those are basically my 2 options. Everything else is illegal to discharge within city limits. Yeah, I'm not gonna go spend a lot of money on a railgun. I could use a flamethrower, but that's gonna wreck a lot of stuff. Especially if we have a summer like last summer where it's so dry, you know. That's probably a bad idea. But I'm like, well, if I get that cool 30 caliber pellet rifle, I could use it for other stuff then too. I could just keep it around. So, just an idea. But it looks like Mike's ready to do his stream. So if you guys want to come say hello to me on there, I think he's just doing a chill stream tonight. So So yeah, if you want to come swing by, there's going to be some other guests on there. So come stop by and say hello. So I got to end this one and I got to go do that. And I'm going to refill my water and hang out with Mike for a little bit. So thank you everybody for stopping by. It was a fun stream.